listening to Inside the Rings, your ultimate podcast destination for everything related to the Olympic movement. Here's your host, my dad, John Hawkins.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, John Hawkins, Inside the Rings, where we explore the people, the passion, and the purpose behind the Olympic Games. Today we have Chari Hawkins, no relation that we know of, but Chari is a U.S. track and field Olympian, heptathlete star, or I guess it's heptathlon star, right?
Heptathlete's fine, but heptathlon star, yeah. Star. I don't know about star.
You are. So social media star and marathoner, right? So we're going to talk about
that one.
Well, we're going to talk about your first steps on the Olympic stage and, kind of what you're doing now, why you started to run for marathons. We're going to get into all of it. So Chari, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I think this is going to be so much fun.
I agree. So let's talk about your road to Paris. When did the Olympics feel like a real possibility for you?
You know what's so interesting is it kind of goes to the premise of resilience, and longevity is really important, because I had a pretty awesome breakthrough my very first track meet as a professional in 2016.
Cool.
Where I had a fouled shot put throw of 1450 and I barely fouled it.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up throwing, I was so stressed that I ended up throwing, 3 meters shorter than that after that. And my coach kind of said, with that 59.60, which I did, plus you add 3 meters onto that, that's an Olympic qualifier.
Wow.
And you're actually ready to qualify this year if we can get this shot put thrown together. So that was really interesting, because 2016, my only goal was to make the Olympic trials. That was what I wanted. I wanted to be an Olympic trials qualifier. And that was really all I was going for. I didn't even really think of the Olympics. It was kind of one of those things where I wanted to be able to say I was training for the Olympics, but there was no real reason or rhyme for me to feel like I would actually do it until that meet. And my coach even was like, oh, if you can actually throw like that, I think that there's a real possibility you could do this. And I did throw like that. I just didn't mark it. So it kind of started this hunger for wow, I think I can do it. Can I do it? And it kind of changed everything for me, to be honest.
Wow,
but it also goes to show that 2016, I didn't make the Olympics. 2021, I didn't make the Olympics.
Yeah.
And 2024, I made my first Olympic team, and I was 33 years old. And there was a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of failure, but sticking through it is kind of just the thing you got to do when push comes to shove.
Well, that is a great story of resilience and grit and sticking to a goal, right? And changing goals as they come along. So yeah. I love that you shared that breakthrough moment.
Sure.
So the heptathlon is a 7 event, right? 7 disciplines. Do you have a favorite discipline?
It's so funny. I have on my social media, in my little bubbles, I have my relationship with each event. And I kind of, I always say hurdles is the one you marry because she's tried and true and all the things. I always say high jumps, the most exciting and the hottest one, I think.
Sure.
I always say that the shot put, I think back then it's probably different now. Shot put was the one that I actually changed. It was one of those I know I can change them, kind of event. But, I actually proved that I could change it. I became a shot putter. And then I said the 200 is the super hot foreigner who I can't understand. That we don't speak the same language and I don't understand it at all, but I like it somehow, And then I always said long jump was that toxic relationship that was hot and cold. Actually, I think it was the one that was hot and cold. We don't know if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad. And then I said, javelin hates me. I was like, javelin despises me. And then I said, the 800 is the toxic relationship. It hurts me every time. I'm terrified of it. but as soon as like the abuse is over, like I always go back to it. Like that was like a long time. Probably not. I probably wouldn't say it in those frame of words again, but
Sure.
It's a lot different now. That was forever ago. That's so funny that I like remembered that.
You remember that, yeah.
Yeah, now I honestly would say that my tried and true event still is those hurdles. Like I just felt like I could count on them. They were my favorite because I was pretty decent at them, but I was able to get in the flow state almost every single time I hurdled. And that's always such a good way to start a heptathlon. And so and maybe it was because I always started the heptathlon there. So that was the beginning. And then once you got the butterflies out, you could kind of get into it. But I just loved the focus and the drive. And I really felt like I had so much control over the hurdles. So I would say those are probably my favorite. And this last year, I was able to finally break the 13-second barrier.
Wow.
So that was super exciting.
Congratulations. That's amazing. How do you, it's 7 events. How do you prepare mentally and physically for each of those events? The training's got to be all over the place, right?
Yeah. And I think that the physical is actually easier to train than the mental, mostly because you have coaches that are telling you exactly what to do. So you show up and you have coaches who really understand that the high jump and the long jump and the hurdles, they're really similar to each other. So we have a similar penultimate step. There's a lot of speed and a lot of like quick penultimate. I already said penultimate. There's quick movements that are very similar, and you're really jumping out on both. And so we trained those together. On a lot of like heavy training days because they were such similar movements. So instead of having to train an hour and a half for each, we could go 45 minutes for each. And we still felt like we were training that same system. But then there were also days where we trained all of day one because we wanted to train the order of everything. So physically we mixed it up, but it was really something that was a little bit more out of my hands. Sometimes it was in my hands when coaches weren't available or when I had to train alone, but for the most part, it was out of my hands. But mentally was where I really had to like get down and busy and like really, really focus. And also just really seek a lot of help because it's so interesting how you always get a coach for physical training, but rarely do you really think about getting a coach for mental training. And it wasn't until I got coaches for mental training that I was really able to like hit that next level. And because I was so interested reading books, doing a lot of journaling, a lot of YouTube videos of me, like, how do I do this? I was already, I had a sports psychologist that said once, like, if you were going to be an airplane pilot or you had an airplane pilot and you asked them, like, how did they learn how to fly a commercial airplane? And they told you they read some books and watched some YouTube videos. Would you trust them?
No way.
And the answer is no, of course not. He's like, so like, you need to get properly educated so that you can actually, like, this is a big deal. This isn't just like every day, like this is your life and this is your sport. And so why are we not getting mentally trained? And I actually really believe in that in life too, like even people who, maybe they don't like therapy, like I would really highly suggest getting even a life coach and getting somebody who is trained and who understands, who can look at a different perspective and it can teach you more than just a YouTube or a book. And yes, those are important. I mean, me being able to talk to somebody who knew what they were doing and not starting at scratch and not starting at zero, listening to podcasts and getting advice and trying out things on your own. And then when you can actually have like one-on-one help I was able to get there so much quicker. So it was really nice.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. You talked about the order of the heptathlon. What is the order for our listeners that aren't aware?
For sure. So it's 2 days and it's all track and field events. So 100-meter hurdles, shot put. Oh, sorry, that's not the order. I'm just randomly saying.
No, you're good.
Day 1, 100-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, 200-meter dash. We go home, we get some rest. Some days we get less rest than others because it doesn't have to be the same amount of time in between every time.
Interesting.
It just has to be at least 30 minutes between. You have to at least have 30 minutes in between. And then the entire heptathlon has to take no more than 48 hours. You have to stay within that 48 hours throughout the entire heptathlon. So they can, so for like example, the Olympics was, I think it was 9 a.m. And then after 9 a.m., it was like 10 a.m. And then we had 7 hours. And then the shot put. So it was a morning session and an evening session.
Okay.
They do that for TV purposes because, you know, they're showing it. They have to do it, all of that kind of stuff. But then there are heptathlons that you don't have to worry about TV. And we just go boom, 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 boom. And the whole heptathlon will be done in 3 or 4 hours. It's exhausting, but it's also like nice because it's less exhausting because you're like, wow, I haven't been thinking about competition all day. So you get a lot more rest for day 2. In Budapest in 2023, I only got 2 hours of sleep by the time, because we were an hour away and we finally got done. I think we competed in the 200 at 9:30 or 9:45 p.m. And then by the time I went and got treatment, got in the ice bath and drove an hour home, and then we didn't have any food there either. So we had dinner. So they kept the cafeteria open until like 1 a.m. And then we had to be on the bus ready to go by 5 a.m. But we had to, before we go, like for World Championships and Olympics and everything, they want to make sure that all of our gear's there, especially if we're an hour away.
Yeah, right.
Go 20 minutes before so they can have you open up your whole bag and check every single thing to make sure you have every single thing in your bag. There's a lot more to it. You got to eat breakfast. You got to check all of your stuff. You got to check in, and then you got to be there on time. So there was just like no time to sleep at all.
Yeah.
And so the next day I remember being like, oh my goodness. But it's crazy. Sometimes you get so much sleep because you go 9, 10, 12, 1, and then you get the rest of the day to relax and enjoy. And some days you get 2 hours of sleep in between. When no matter what sleep you get, you go back the next day and you do long jump, javelin, and then you finish with an 800. Again, they can stretch that out all day. And so a lot of times what they'll do is they'll have you go in the morning and they'll do long jump and then they'll do javelin right after. And then you'll have to just sit all day and just wait for an 800. And it's a double-edged sword because on the one end, you want all of the time to recover your legs. Yeah. But realistically, in my opinion, there's really not that much recovering from 6 events and 2 hours of sleep that you can do. You can try to get sleep, but you're so nervous. You have one more event that it's so hard to sleep anyways. So you just want to get it over with. And then at the other end, it's like, I haven't slept at all. I'm so exhausted. Like, I do need some time. So it's like, it's such a double-edged sword. You have to decide, like, would you rather your mental be tired or would you rather your physical be tired? And a lot of times we honestly don't know. So it's tough no matter what you choose. It's a crazy, crazy whirlwind of an event, but it's so fun.
So in qualifying last summer,
yes,
was there a moment in qualifying where you knew I'm going to Paris?
Do you know what's so interesting is it wasn't until I crossed the finish line that I knew for sure.
At the 800.
Yes, which is interesting because I had a 12-second buffer.
Okay.
One of my competitors, and I had a 5-second buffer from my other competitor.
Okay.
So I gave myself an incredible shot. My personal best was at that point a 2:15, and my competitor that I had a 5-second buffer, her personal best was a 2:13. So looking very good, right? Yeah, looking great. My personal best is a 2:15, and the other competitor, her personal best was a 2:08, and so that was still looking good too because I had a 12-second. It's looking good, like it's genuinely looking good that you're going. However, this was my however. I had been struggling so much in the 800 lately. The year before in Budapest, I only needed a 212, and I was in 212 shape. I had been working very hard on my 800, and it had been 9 years since I had gotten that 215. And so I was ready. I was fit. I was confident, and all I needed was a 212 to get a medal at World Championships. And I was so ready to do it too. I was like focused and like cocky. Really. But there was
I think
something.
that's a Hawkins thing, actually. So I get cocky too. Yeah.
I was just, and I'm not usually super duper confident before an 800, but I got this. Like, I'm fit. I have a reason to run. Like, I'm going to go get my first medal. And I just like, my legs just blew up in the middle of my run.
Yeah.
And not only, I think my best that year, my season best that year was a 2:17. Not only did I not run a 2:12, I ran a 2:22.
Oh.
I know. And so I had been running, 2:20, 2:19s that year fit. And there was just something in my head that like, I was like, I cannot wrap my head around this 800 right now. And so going into it, I was like, oh no, like those numbers are not looking great.
Right.
And if I am so fit right now that if I don't do this, I did it to myself, because it's not that I'm a bad 800 runner. It's that I ran a bad 800. So I was so afraid. There's like been like very few times I've been that afraid before. I was sobbing my eyes out because I was so afraid. Yeah. And I mean, that is real. Like I always like to say,
absolutely.
I remember reading a book once, and it was talking about like mental toughness and grip. And they were like, you think Olympians cry? And at that point I hadn't made an Olympics. And I was like, I hope so, because I cry all the time. I really hope they cry. Like, I really hope they cry, because I cry a lot. And if they don't cry, that means I have no shot, because I am crying constantly. And there was a switch that got flipped a little bit. Remember I said I couldn't wrap my head around the 800.
Yeah.
And it was because I realized right before the race, when I train, what I do before I train, like I'll do a 200 all out 30 seconds, and I'll do that like 5 times. And it would be all out, and my legs are dying, and I never miss a beat, and I'm always doing a great job. I'll do an all out 600, and I'll crush it. With tons of energy left, I can finish that. I'm about to run so well. And I was like, but what I do before each of those runs is I envision it. I think to myself, okay, I have to run a 200, boom, get out. Okay, cool. Then I think, oh, okay, I have to run a 600. Oh, okay, cool. And then I do it. But before I was running all of these 800s for years, what I would do is I would just imagine getting out for that first 200, being like, set yourself up and get out good. And I always did. I always got up so good, and then I would just blow up over and over and over. And I realized that I literally wasn't wrapping my head around what I was about to do. Yeah. I was running a 200 in my head. Yeah. And then my legs were like, aren't we running a 200? Yeah. Why are you still running? And then I was getting exhausted. Inexplicably. Is that correct?
Inexplicably, yeah.
I was literally just confused. My body was so confused.
Wow.
So I had that realization, holy smokes. And there was a big delay before we ran the 800 where they were interviewing one of the athletes. And I remember thinking, I am going to run this entire race in my head. And I ran the whole race in my head. This is what it's going to be. And then I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to run that, and then I'm just going to run all out. And when I tell you, that's exactly how it went. And it was the first time that I ever actually took time to wrap my head around the race in years, if ever. And all of a sudden, 10-year personal best. Because at that year before, it would have been 9 years, 10-year personal best. And I was blown away. Yeah, truly blown away. And it's so cool. It was such a cool thing, because all I did was try to stick on one girl. I couldn't pay attention to the one that was like way in front of me. I feel like that would have been a little too inaccurate. So I was like, I will just stay with the one right in front of me. I know that if I come in, I'll count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mrs. You know what I mean? And in my mind, I counted to 3 Mississippi, and I made it. And I was like, heck yeah, I did it. But then, so I was like, I crossed the finish line and I go like this, and I like my hand because I knew I made it. But it was only, we were actually only 1 second apart. And it was like so crazy how, time works when in your mind you think it was the longest 1 second. I counted to 3 Mississippi.
Right.
But it was 1 second. So yeah, that was the moment. It was quite the journey.
I actually remember watching that in qualifying, and I was like, I didn't know you at the time, and I obviously I admired your last name, and I was like, yes, she did it, and I was excited for you at that moment. So
I was ugly crying the entire time. I could not cry. It was I was so afraid. I knew I could do it, and I was so afraid I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And that was such a horrible feeling, knowing you can do something and being afraid that you wouldn't, that when you do it, it's almost more relieving.
Yeah.
I wish I could have, if I could have tweaked something, and I did honestly, I did everything I could to set myself up for success, because that was my reality, is that I knew I could do it, but I was afraid I wouldn't. I had so many times where I didn't make the team when I could have and should have, and many times where I felt like it was me who lost. I didn't get beaten. There were many times I got beaten. There was many times like I did great and I also got beaten. And then there were many times where I don't feel like I got beaten. I feel like I lost. Yeah. And it was always the thing. I was afraid that potentially I would do that self-sabotage thing. And I'm very glad I did the work to unlearn that as much as I possibly could. Yeah. And then, being brave enough to feel that fear and go out and give yourself the best shot anyways.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Let's fast forward a little bit and talk about walking into Stade de France, right?
Okay.
What was that like? Describe it for us. What were the sights, the sounds? What did you lock eyes on?
Yeah, so something super interesting is World Championships is set up a lot like the Olympics, right? Okay. And so, it's the same qualifying, and you make the teams and the same blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Or so I thought, right?
Interesting.
Because
okay.
Then we go into the stadium, and it's all track athletes here. We're at the track, right? So it's not like I'm being surrounded by a bunch of athletes. So in my mind, I'm like, this is the same. But it's just like when you go out on a Friday night versus going out on New Year's Eve.
Oh, interesting.
There's more buzz in the air.
Yeah.
People are more excited, and it's something you feel. There's just more. It's the same. It's fun and it's exciting, but there's more.
Yeah.
And it's like this. The coolest thing is that there were Olympic rings everywhere. That was by far my favorite part. Olympic rings were on banners. They were painted on the grass.
Yeah.
And that was the really big moment for me. It was the difference of banners. Because usually we're used to seeing the World Athletics banner. And we're used to seeing, those are still incredible. But being able to look up and see the Olympics, it is that moment where you're like, holy smokes, especially because in 2021, I didn't think I would do another 4 years.
Interesting.
So I thought that I was going to have to say, I've made the world, I'm Team USA. It's great. That's still so great. And such an accomplishment, but I'm never going to be able to say Chari Hawkins Olympian.
Yeah.
And so being able to see Olympics everywhere was holy cow, Olympian. Whoa. Yeah. And there was a lot of that. There was a lot of you almost couldn't even I feel like we all wanted to run and we all wanted to do our workouts, but there was just too much happening. Sometimes you just need to sit and feel it, I stretched a little and then I just sat and enjoyed it because I knew, I've got a week and a half, 10 days before I'm competing, 2 weeks before I'm competing. This is my first time here. I'm not trying to get out of blocks today. I'm not trying to do any of that today. This is so magical. I just have to sit and take it in.
Soak it in. Yeah. Oh, so let me ask you this, running on a purple track, what was that like? Was that different? Was it?
You know what's so interesting is I don't know. I've never like played tennis on multiple surfaces.
Sure.
So like I can't compare it. I wish I could compare it, but I would like to think that like it's very much it's the same surface, so it's even better.
Okay.
How athletes train on different surfaces, it's like you probably get used to it. Like the color doesn't really do much for you when you're on. Like,
Okay.
while I was competing, I didn't notice it was purple even once.
Oh, really?
Oh no, not even once. Like
Huh.
I never even like now that you're saying it, like I forgot it was purple until you mentioned it. But when you first go in it, you know, and they always say that lavender, if you measure the frequency of all the colors, lavender is the highest frequency color.
Interesting.
And so it's something like your cells vibrate differently around the color purple. And you can feel it. Like, and I don't know if it was just because of the Olympic rings or if it was because of the purple track, but it was definitely
You could feel it.
Definitely insane.
Oh, that's awesome. So the games are, you know, their dream, like you've been saying, but it's an intense crucible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there a moment in Paris where you're like, you had to fight harder mentally than physically?
Yes. So for the people that watch your show that don't know my story, in the second event of the heptathlon, I actually did something called no hiding in the high jump. That is when you, on your very first attempt, you do not clear the bar 3 times. In my career as an athlete, I've never done that in my life. In fact, the high jump is my highest scoring event. So I usually, after the high jump, I'm usually in first, second, or third in the world. Because hurdles are one of my stronger events, but I'm not the strongest. And the high jump is probably my strongest event. I usually come in around 173 that's meters. That's 173 is like about 5'7.5". But I decided to come in earlier. Because just to be safe, it's a loud environment. It's all of those things. And I will say two things. Looking back in hindsight, there was so much chaotic things going on, and there were so many circumstances that really sucked that like I didn't see my name on the board, and so I didn't know it was my time. So I was told, Chari, you're up right now with 20 seconds to jump on my first attempt. Now there's 2 truths. The first truth is that's so stressful. Before I high jump, this is my routine before I high jump. I take a breath. I see myself jumping my entire jump and clearing the bar. Then I close my eyes. I feel myself jumping and clearing the entire bar. I take one more breath and I start, and then I forget. See, feel, trust. And I don't think another thought. When you have 20 seconds left, you can't do any of that. And I didn't even think to do any of that. I thought, jump right now. So there's 2 truths. The first truth is that's so stressful and you didn't get a chance to do your thing. And that makes sense that you didn't clear it, right? And the second truth is I can clear that bar in my sleep. I can do that from a actual 3-step, 1, 2, 3, and jump over the bar. It's that easy of a bar for me. Now, I will say that it is still a challenging bar for other athletes. So there are probably a lot of athletes that thought I would never come in that high. However, it's all relative because there are also people who come in at 180, which is 5'11".
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's relative, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first truth. And the second truth is that I could absolutely clear that bar. So I do also have to take accountability where if your head's not in the game, anything can happen. You can clear bars that you could clear in your sleep. For my second attempt, I was not sure who jumped before me because, again, there were so many. So I was going around to find the person with the clipboard to see when my next jump was. There was nobody with a clipboard. No one had access. It was very different than what I'm used to. And so I was just running from pit to pit trying to decide. And while I was talking to somebody who was probably only 50 feet away, that's not nothing, but about 50 feet away from the start of the jump, she looked down after me trying to figure out where I was going, and she said, "Oh, you're actually up right now." And my time was ticking.
Oh my gosh.
So instead, now this one I didn't have 20 seconds left. I had about 45 seconds left.
Still.
That's plenty of time for me to do my process. But my frustrated self was thinking, just jump the bar. You're fine. Just jump it. If I could go back, I would say, can you take a breath and just clear this bar and do your process, and you'll clear it easy. But then after missing that second bar, I decided to go back and talk to my coach. Mm-hmm. And I didn't say what exactly was going on. I said, it's just very chaotic down here, and I just need to clear this bar. I'm going to be fine. Like, I just need to clear the bar, but like, I'm going to be fine. But what I didn't realize is 170 is a very low bar, which means everybody's already cleared it. So as soon as I turned around from talking to my coach, my time was already
it. Yeah.
And I had 15 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
And when I started, what was going on at the same time was the 4x1 was happening at the same time.
Okay.
So what I should have done is once I started, the 4x1 girl accidentally, I can't remember what team, accidentally went in front of me. And so like we kind of like stumbled into each other a little, and then I had to keep going because I only had 15 seconds left.
Right.
And what I should have done, hindsight, is if somebody crosses you, you should be able to get your time back, because that's not your fault. So you should be able to get your time back. And I should have requested my time back because of that happening. But I just kept going. And then I failed my third attempt, bar over. Happened so fast, right? Yeah. So in hindsight, it's so clear to me for me to be able to say, where I was sitting behind the pit looking at the board. And the board was actually, that I was looking at, I was accidentally looking at the other side's board and not my side.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But note to self, I should have been, hey, you're in this competition. Don't go be by yourself. Go behind the board behind your actual pit and pay attention.
Yeah.
My bad. And I have to take accountability as an athlete. 2, okay, if I were to do it again, instead of me being like, who am I after? I would have just stood right behind the board and been like, well, I'm going to be here soon because it's second attempts at some point. So I'm just going to sit right here and clear this bar. And then I would have done the exact same thing on the third attempt. So there's so many things you can do, but that is what happened.
Yeah.
And so now I'm faced with a really rough situation.
Yeah.
No hiding. Feeling shocked because it all happened so fast. I felt helpless. Like, what the heck was that? And what's going on? And where am I? And wait, what? You know? And then just the devastation set in, and the tears. And usually what happens with the heptathlon is usually, if you no height, you're usually out. You go home, you cry, and you mess up. But I knew that the versions of me who would have given anything to be there, needed me to stay on that stage.
Yeah.
And so I think the hardest thing I had to do mentally was not only get back on the stage, but I had to test my mental strength, because I knew that if I got on the stage with tears in my eyes and trembling and like being sad puppy for the entire rest of the competition, I think I would have regretted that so much.
Yeah.
Instead, I had to show up, and the second I stepped on that stage, I was in a bubble. It's one of the things that me and my sports psych practice a lot, where when you step inside the bubble, literally the bubble is silent and there's no noise. And nothing bad is happening when you're in the bubble. Everything good is happening. You're having fun. You're enjoying being an Olympian, and you're here to take your all of your attempts with everything you've got.
Yeah.
And then the second you get off the bubble, go cry. Cry, get it out, feel your feelings. And then when you step on that bubble, you are the happiest you've ever been, and you fight and you go and you push and you show why you're an Olympian.
Yeah.
And it took so much. And I was in so much pain physically from like mental pain that was causing physical pain.
Yeah.
And I think that was probably the toughest thing that I had to deal with at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it's honestly my poor family. It's kind of a sore spot for them too. But I think that what helped a lot is me being willing to go back on the stage and like wave to them and like give them hearts and do really good. Honestly, I had a great rest of the heptathlon.
Yeah.
If I would have scored really good in the high jump, we could have, I don't know, we definitely wouldn't have gotten a medal. It was an incredible year and I didn't do that good for the rest of the events. But had I done well in high jump, I think I could have still taken top 6 in the world.
Wow.
And it would have been a great Olympics and I would have been really proud of it. Maybe I would have had more energy. Hey, maybe I would have been really stressed. You never know how it's going to go.
Right.
And I remember hearing once that regret is by far the least helpful emotion that you can feel because you'll never know if that was actually the best thing that could have happened to you. You know, 'cause like we never know if I would have had all the energy, if I would have torn my Achilles in an well, you never know.
You never know.
Hey,
you never know. Yeah.
I would have gotten an amazing high jump and then I would have been all amped up in the 200 and torn my Achilles.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows if I would have been, because I decided to go home and because I didn't want to stay in the locker room with all the girls because I didn't want to be a bummer just sobbing on my bed. And they're all having their Olympic experience and I'm being a bummer. So I was like, I'm going to get out of the way and go home and cry. Who's to say that like something like I wouldn't have like ruined somebody else's moment, or like maybe I would have said something, or maybe somebody else would have said something to me and it would have broken my heart in another way, or like, I don't know. You never know what would have happened. But so because of that, you just have to look at what did happen and you have to say, how did I show up? And if you can say that you showed up with everything you had in the moment, then that's all you can say. And I had to fight so hard to show up as my best moment. And so I'm really, really, really proud of that moment. It hurts sometimes when I really think about it, but because I was able to show up as my best, it's the thing that gets me to kind of like be like, yeah, okay. Like I kind of did that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it doesn't always have to go amazing. It can actually go really bad. But if you're still willing to show up as your best, like that's kind of how you can make it into something pretty spectacular.
Well, I was rooting for you and the Americans in the field, but I was really inspired by you, because you did get back in the ring, you know, and no one can take that away from you.
Sure.
Right. No one can say, well, she just quit. Right.
Yeah.
And, I was super I was bummed that, you didn't score as well, but I was extremely inspired by the way that you, at least publicly, the way that you handled it and got back in there. So
yeah. And the other thing is like, it wasn't at the end of the day, even though it was like a hard situation, like with like all the chaos and all of that, like if you want to like really dig into it, it's like clearly like in my head, I was like, wow, I was so ready. And I was so like, I've never been more mentally prepared. But in hindsight, like, I like to really look at it and, take a look in the mirror. I really try to hold myself accountable. And I have to say, like, mentally, maybe I thought I was like really into it, but I usually, especially when I do super well, I'm watching the high jump happen in real time and I'm very alert.
Yeah.
And that was maybe the first time I've ever not been like super alert in a long time in the high jump. And that goes to show that I maybe wasn't as prepared as I thought mentally, or wasn't ready as much as I thought mentally. And so, because at the end of the day, like I was the only athlete that did that. It wasn't like there was a bunch of athletes that were super confused. Like it was really me choosing to not really lock in to the event and maybe thinking, oh yeah, I'm good right here. I'll watch this little screen. But what do they say about when you assume, assume that everything was going to just be on the screen for me instead of really paying attention. And because of that, that was me not showing up as my best. But it goes to show that when you don't show up as your best, like all you can do is your best.
Yeah.
And we don't always show up as our best. But
Right.
when that inevitably happens, all we can do now is tighten up and now show up as our best.
Yep. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So tell me this, like,
Okay.
the, post Paris, and then you decide I'm going to go run a marathon.
Oh.
So was that like, a lot of Olympians face this and professional athletes face this, like, now what kind of moment at the end of their experience or career or whatever, right? Was that part of what led you to training for a marathon?
Not at all. Okay. So I will say I have gotten asked a lot, did you have that like post-Olympic depression? Did you have, all of that kind of stuff? And so the only reason why I feel like I get to say no, I didn't at all, was because I had planned on that post-Olympic depression, and I had prepped
Interesting.
very hard for it. Yeah. I knew that was going to be a thing. I had been hearing about it since 2016, when people always talked about, you lose your goal and you lose like what is next. And like I did it and like, okay. And like, you get that glory. And I think what a lot of Olympians assume and a lot of people assume is once you have Olympic glory, it's forever. Like, but what you don't realize is like in the same way that you won a board game and you're so excited in the moment and then you drive home and you're like, nice, that was fun.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
But it feels like it's on a bigger stage, and I totally get that. It is on a bigger stage, but it's the exact same feeling because as we grow, the stage grows.
Yeah.
But we're the same size as the stage we're on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
This big, and the board game stage is this big. But the Olympic stage is this big.
Yeah.
If I was in board, if I was like a trader, if I was a trader, and I was terrible and I had never done the heptathlon before, and I didn't know anything, and somehow I like qualified for the Olympics. Yeah. Like weirdly, that'd probably feel so big and so overwhelming, and I don't even know if I could handle it, right? True. But it's like you grow, and then your stage grows, and then you grow, and so proportionally, you are as big as your stage. So if you've ever, won a state championship, if you've ever won conference championship, if you've ever won like regionals, or if you've ever won like a race or a game or anything, I'm telling you, it's the exact same, because you are like Taylor Swift, her performing and selling out millions of stage. Think about how much anxiety you and I would have if we
for sure
sold out stages forever. We'd be like, well, what is this? Like, oh my gosh, like, no, I don't know about this, but she is proportionally as big as her stage.
Yeah, it's true.
And so she's feeling like we're feeling exactly what Taylor Swift is feeling. It's just that it's on a bigger stage. And so for us, it'd be insane. But for her, she's like, like this is the stage. Yeah. Because she is so big, kind of a thing. Yeah. So just like in that proportion, like I'm telling you, the way I felt when I won state in Idaho State track is the exact same I feel when I, qualify for the Olympics. Yeah. It feels bigger, and I think I have those like emotions of like, whoa, like a little more, because I've failed so many times and I've had to get back up so many times. Sure. So there's so much like wave of emotion that like is that context is there a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, it's so cool. And it's so interesting. And I don't know how that ties in. I'm trying to remember. You
were talking about the now what moment, but you didn't really have that, right?
So I think because I prepared. Yes, thank you for guiding me back. I had a point. But I think that because I was so ready for this big moment of like, I don't know what I'm going to do without this thing. I think I had so much like foresight in that this is just like winning game night. You're going to feel that rush and that joy and that big energy for a little, and then it will go. Yeah. And it will pass in that same way. In that same way that on game night, you were so excited and you were screaming and jumping. And then then you went home and you were a normal human and you didn't keep talking about it forever because it was you were like, okay, cool. And it feels like that sometimes with the Olympics. Like it's over and then everybody's like, yeah, and there's little moments of, oh yeah, I made the Olympics that people are like, oh wow, cool. And then it's over, right? And so it feels, but when you can wrap your head around that and you can really understand it in that perspective and say like, this isn't, it feels like a dream to go to Olympics, but I always like to say, like I've talked about this before a lot on my social media, where I say there's a difference between a dream and a goal. Sure. And your dream should never have an end date. Yeah. And goals can. Yeah. So the Olympics, and I said this a long time ago, the Olympics was a goal. Because think about this, it's my dream, right? Mm-hmm. And then I don't make it. Right. And my dream is crushed. Yeah. And now what? Yeah. Whereas my dream personally, like if I were to really write down like what my dream would be, my dream would be to inspire, and whether it's myself or my family or my friends or millions of people, to be like their best self. Like honestly, sometimes it is so silly, but I have probably like 50 voice notes where they are nowhere. They're not online. They're not anywhere to be. But it's me talking to me, giving myself, like, it's almost like a little podcast that I'm talking about, like what I learned in practice today and what I learned there, and it was just for me because when I was saying it, it was really lighting me up. Yeah. And that is the thing that really like gets me, is just being able to, when I feel like have a spark of inspiration and I feel like I can share that spark of inspiration. I mean, that's my overall dream, and it grows and it develops and it changes, and it adapts and all that kind of stuff. But it's so wonderful. And it's great. I love
That's awesome. Let me ask about your Instagram training videos. I've watched them and I'm nowhere near, coordinated enough to do any of this stuff.
I doubt it. You can do it. I bet I saw a video, I'd be like, that's so good.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to send you a video, but you're really like focusing on the drills and the fundamentals of training to be a runner, right? Was there a moment when you thought like, I want to start teaching people what I know?
Yeah. So do you know what's so interesting is I remember when I first started getting specific running training, and I got my first running analysis, and I was overstriding like crazy. And every year I got so many shin splints. Yeah. And that was my biggest injury, was like shin splints. And I would just like get them so bad every single year. And I realized it was because I was really overstriding. And so then I started doing like a lot of like training to fix my overstriding. And it actually all clicked together when I was doing sprinting with my coach. And she was trying to get me to lift my hips up. And she was like, lift your hips. And she just couldn't, no matter what she was saying, she couldn't get it to click in my head. And finally she just said, A-skip. And it was weird. I was in the middle of running and I just thought like A-skip positions. And I've been doing A-skips since high school. So A-skips were in my brain. And suddenly I just went, and because I just thought of A-skips and it happened so naturally. And she said, thank you. So then I really focused on that and noticing that my running analysis started really improving. And I realized I had been doing drills my entire life. Yeah. But because I wasn't applying the drills, I thought they were just like warm-up drills. Like, let's just do the warm-up.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't been applying these. And I had shared so much of my training online, and I always like to teach like tips and tricks. And it actually started, my whole social media started as a journal to myself because
Interesting. Yeah.
I didn't like writing it down. I really liked the premise of being able to see it and then giving myself notes. So it started out where I would put my high jumps up, and I had like 600 followers. And I was like, today I learned in high jump that we needed to zum, zum, zum. This is my best jump. This is my worst jump. And I would just attach them together. Best jump, worst jump. And I would do that kind of stuff. And then they started catching a little bit more. And it became like, oh, people are interested in this. And then it kind of transferred into, instead of it being a training journal, it ended up being a training, not program, but like training, like social media, where like all the content was like me teaching the things that I learned. And then when I started learning, why and that application, that's when I really started getting a little bit more detailed with my training. So now I'm like, when we do this, I want you to focus on this, because I learned that like why is still so important. Like, yeah, I can show you the A skips and I can teach you the A skips, but I want to teach you why we do the A skips, because I was doing them for 15 years and not applying them. So that's kind of like how it evolved, and I love it. I mean, my dad's a basketball coach, so I've been doing clinics since I was in high school, and coaching, it just is something. I mean, my master's and bachelor's is in education. Okay. So I love teaching and I love coaching, and it's just like so fun. Plus I love to learn. So anytime I learn, I'm like, I got to tell everybody this. So really well.
Have you ever had any one of your followers? You're like, what, 1.1 million followers or something like that? That's incredible.
Honestly, yeah. It's so crazy. Honestly, you think about that many people, and I don't take it lightly at all. I'm like, that's why sometimes like I'm very, very cognizant to making sure that my content stays as positive as possible. Yeah. Because I don't take it lightly and I don't take that responsibility lightly. I always make sure that I feel like I know what I'm talking about before I say it. A lot of people have asked me about like breath work and teaching about breath work. And I've been like, until I think I know exactly how to respond to everybody's questions, I don't teach about it. But I've been, I call my coaches, I learn about it. I try to like, I do like anecdotal studies on myself and see if it helps. But I'm not ready to talk about it yet, because I want to make sure I know what I'm saying. I do not take the things that I teach lightly, and I don't take, the brands that I work with lightly. And I'm just like, I'm so appreciative of everybody wanting to learn from me. And all of the people, I think, like, I can imagine, like, your question was kind of like, have you ever had people reach out to you and say,
yes, yeah.
And honestly, like, social media before my channel became what it is, I used to despise social media because I hated the thought of like people comparing themselves to me, or me feeling like I have to compare myself to others. I felt like I needed to be liked literally in order for me to feel validation. And there was just like so many things that I really struggled with. And then I kind of I got this message, and it was from somebody who was like, I just have to tell you that, since I've been just following your journey, I decided to go on my own journey, and I've officially haven't smoked for 6 months, and I've lost like 25 pounds. Wow. And like, you've changed my life. And that was the first time I ever got this like lightning bolt to me. That I was like, whoa, like the what I'm saying is it matters. It matters. And, I had my husband gave me the best piece of advice, which was, you are a character, and though your character is you and you show up as you, and so you think that it's you, that people are, if they're saying mean things, that you think they're saying mean things about you, but they are only saying mean things about that avatar that they know. Yes. And so if they're saying, and that's like in the good and the bad, because even with the good, with people saying like, this helped me so much, like I so appreciate it and I so take it seriously, but I also have to remember, like, I can't let it boost me too big. Sure. Because it's just the avatar. And that's very helpful to stay in that neutral space of, you can't boost it too big and you can't shrink it too small, because you also need to make sure that you're taking it very seriously, but you can't make it bigger than what it is. And it helps me with I don't get very many negative comments. I feel like the people that are in my community are just like so wonderful and supportive and like kind, and they're just like me. They want to learn and they want to teach. So I'm so open to people being like, I thought XYZ, and I'll look into it. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I actually love that take. I see exactly what you're saying. And here is what I was thinking, but I like what you're saying too. That works. And that's a really good cue. I love that cue, and I'll get new cues from people all the time. So it's like so great. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then at the same time, people want to be educated and they want to learn. So I feel like the good thing is I really don't get too many negative comments, but in the negative comments, like I also know that it's always about the person commenting. And the best thing that I can do is honestly send all of my love and all of my healing energy. And there have been a lot of times I've made a lot of friends from doing that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Of people saying, I'm really sorry I was having a bad day, and like you kind of made my day. Like, thank you.
Wow,
social media is hard because, there's so much of it that you don't get to see the full picture. And it's so wonderful too, because there's so much connection that you can have as well.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do some fun rapid fire.
Love it.
Questions for you.
You've heard me speak for like almost an hour now. I'm not great at rapid fire.
Well, let's try it. We'll try it. Favorite Paris Olympic memory?
Meeting LeBron James. I met him when I was 11 years old.
I saw that on your Instagram.
I met him when I was 11 years old. I went up to him and took a picture with him, and then I was able to recreate the picture when I saw him. The first time I was a fan, the second time I was his Olympic teammate. It was pretty amazing.
That's incredible. And on a very rainy evening in Paris.
It was, yes.
But that's really cool. I think you've told us this, but remind us, most challenging event in the heptathlon.
I would say the 800 for sure. Mentally, you think about it throughout the whole thing, and then it's just brutal. You're exhausted and you got to run it. Most challenging technically, I would say the javelin.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm a thrower. I never threw the javelin, but I'm a thrower, so I don't know. I that surprises me, but that's cool.
It's such a light implement, and so you have to aerodynamic it just perfectly, or it will go crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, post-race indulgence or post-event indulgence.
Anything and everything that I'm not allowed to eat while I'm training. I stay clear of, honestly, it's really all about inflammation. It was never about aesthetics. I really try to stay away from aesthetics because I was somebody who grew up having an eating disorder. So I take it very, very seriously to make sure fueled is always first. But it was all about inflammation. So things like, as an athlete, you're always inflamed anyways, because you're working out so hard. So I took away any processed food of any kind. So no bread, no pasta, no tortillas, no granola bars, no protein powders, just for a little bit. And then and no sugars of any kind. So when I say give me anything and everything under that umbrella, as soon as I'm done, I'm saying let's go to 5 restaurants and order pizza from here and pasta from here.
Yeah.
Ice cream and do tacos and deep fry all of it.
Yeah. Perfect. That's exactly. Yeah. Okay. On your Instagram, you post your Halloween costumes.
Yes, I do.
Favorite Halloween costume?
Gosh, that's really hard. I'm gonna have to say Wonder Woman.
Okay.
It was such a fun video to make, and I loved it. It turned out otherworldly. It was so fun. But I feel like the coolest one was Taylor Swift, because I wasn't just Taylor Swift. I was Taylor Swift in concert, and we had 7,000 people come to be on the concert, and I actually performed for 7,000 people.
Wow, that's cool. And it was the Reputation outfit or whatever.
It was.
I knew because my wife and girls are huge fans, and so they told me which one it was. And so
yeah, it was pretty. The thing is the costume itself was great, but the actual like costume was not just Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift in concert, and I think that's what made it pretty iconic.
That's amazing. Do you
I'm gonna try to top it this year.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, are you gonna try to top it? So I'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
If you weren't an athlete,
okay,
what would you be doing?
That is what a fun question. If I wasn't an athlete, my undergrad is in education, but it's in culinary arts education.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so I do love cooking. I could see myself when I was going to school, I actually wanted to go to school for the culinary arts education so that I could teach cooking, but then also do catering. So that was something I really wanted to do. I also I know this is super weird, but I love making escape rooms and stuff like that. So I would literally love so much to have an escape room, run an escape room. But the other thing that I could see myself doing is recovery. I love recovery places that do ice tubs and saunas and all of those kinds of things. I think that'd be pretty sick to do that too. There's so many things. My goodness.
There's so many things. Why limit yourself to one thing, right? Yeah.
One things.
Well, Chari, thanks so much for taking us inside your experiences and showing us how you continue to pursue excellence in whatever you're doing, and you're just, for me, you're an inspiration, and I'm so excited that you would take the time to come on the show.
No, thank you so much. It's been so fun, and honestly, I just want to say, ups, downs, they will happen. I think sometimes we're in this good space. We're oh wow, I figured it out. This is how life works. That's not how life works. Life is actually like this, and when you're in the low valley, just remember, show up. That's your only job. Do your best. Show up as your best. And it might not be the best that you could have ever been because you're down. Sometimes we can't always show up perfectly. But if you only have 40% to give, are you willing to give all of that 40%? Yeah. And that's all that you got to ask of yourselves. And I'm hoping that my message can give people that hope that they can do it even when they feel like they got nothing left. Just show up as your best, and that's enough. Love it.
Tell us what your Instagram handle is.
So it is my name, Chari Hawkins, but there's a little underscore before it. And I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, and LinkedIn kind of too, and Facebook. Okay. So just go find me.
Go find her, follow her. You're definitely a fun follow. So
thank you.
Love seeing your videos and your training. So, and for our listeners, remember to subscribe and rate our podcast. And until next time, keep chasing excellence. Thanks, Chari.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Inside the Rings. We encourage you to rate and share the podcast. And if there is any topic you would like us to cover, leave us a comment. See you next time.